Greetings, everyone. It has been a while. This is Articles of Reality, and today I wanted to make a video. We're gonna leave ancient Egypt for a bit in this video, and we're gonna delve more into Buddhism today. Okay, and this specific video will discuss the idea, or rather the debate of a single omnipotent God in Buddhist theology. Okay, now what I'm going to do is read a few pages from a chapter of a book titled The Amitabha, A Story of Buddhist Theology, written by Paul Keres, or Ceres. I may be pronouncing his last name wrong, but this book was actually published in 1906. Okay? Now, the chapter that I'm going to read is titled The God Problem. And it's a story, it's a story about a monk debating with another monk in regards to the nature of God, and that's God with a capital G. All right, so let's dive right into it. Oh, and also, so after I read this chapter, we'll talk a little bit about the notion of an omnipotent God and what you guys think, okay? Buddhism has gained ascendancy in India without exterminating the more ancient creeds, and there are many devoutly religious people who have only a vague notion of the contrast in which it stood to other forms of faith. The spiritual atmosphere in which Charaka had grown up consisted of a mixture of all the thoughts, influences, and opinions that entertained in India, while the northern gods that had been worshipped by the ancestors of the invaders in their former homes had faded from the mental vision of the present generation. The ancient deities of India had not gained full recognition. Vishnu, Shiva, and Indra appeared to them as the patrons of conquered races and were therefore deemed of inferior power. Among the better educated Hindu people, philosophical ideas were spreading, and Brahma, that's Brahma, you guys, was revered as the supreme being, the great omnipotent, the omnipotent as the all consciousness and all perfection, the creator, the fashioner, the ruler of the universe, and all father of all things. With this God idea of an all-embracing personal deity, Charaka had become familiar almost from childhood, and he was greatly astonished not to hear a word about God, the Lord, or Brahma in his religious instructions. Buddha was spoken of as a teacher of gods and men. He was worshipped with the reverence which was peculiar to him. But the belief in the ancient gods was not disturbed. Their existence was neither denied nor affirmed. So long as he was unacquainted with his new surroundings, Charaka did not dare to ask questions. But when he began to know his kind-hearted elder, Subhitu, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, you guys, and some others of the monks, he grew more assured. And one day, while several brothers were seated at the portico of the assembly hall, he ventured to inquire as to the doctrine concerning God. Life is taken seriously in a Buddhist monastery, and the tone of conversation is always religious and considerate. Nevertheless, there were never missing among the brethren men of a lighter temper who saw the humor in things, who could smile, and smiling point out the comical features of life so as to make their fellow brethren smile too, for real laughter was seldom or never heard in the precincts of the cloister. So you guys, so it's saying that they like to banter, and they like to poke fun at each other in the nature of reality every now and then, just to liven things up. They are human after all. Okay, let's get back into the story. We find frequent traces of this humor in the wall paintings as well as the legends of saints, part of which were preserved even today. Now, when Charaka spoke of God, one of the brethren, Kedava, by name, a healthy-looking man of medium size and of radiant face, drew near and asked, "What do you mean? Indra, the thunderer? The Soma, intoxicated braggart hero and ruler of the second heaven, whom the people call Sakra or Vasava? Or do you mean Shiva, the powerful and terrible one, decked with the necklace of skulls, the god full of awe and majesty? Or perhaps you mean Vishnu, and any of his avatars as a fish or a wild boar or a white horse?" Sharaka shook his head, and Kadava continued, "Well, may you mean Krishna, the avatar love, he who danced with all the shepherdesses at once, finding an appropriate incarnation in their favorite swains, while each girl imagined that she alone held the god in her arms." "My question refers to no one of the gods," replied the novice, "but to God," and the emphasis in which he marked the difference showed that he felt not like joking on a problem of which was grave importance to him. "Ah, I see," exclaimed Kadava. His lip curled with sarcasm, and there was a twinkle of triumph in his eye, for the topic under discussion reminded him of a contest which he had with a Brahmin priest, in which his antagonist had been completely worsted by his superior skill in pointing out the weak side of the proposition and holding it up to ridicule. "Ah, I see," he exclaimed. "You do not mean any of the several gods, but God in general. You are like a man who sent his servant to market to buy fruit, and when the latter returned with bananas, mangoes, grapes, and an assortment of other fruit, he upbraided him, saying, 'I do not want bananas, nor mangoes, nor grapes, nor pears, nor prunes, nor apples, nor pomegranates. I want fruit. Fruit is what I want, fruit pure and undefiled, not a particular fruit, but fruit in general.'" Said Sharaka, "Are you a wrangler famous in the art of dialectics, and you know not the difference between God and the gods? I love God, but I hate the gods." "It is impossible," cried Kadava with a sarcastic chuckle. "You hate the gods, and you love God. Can you hate all the single men, monks, and laymen, traders, warriors, kings, noblemen, Brahmins, and Shudras, and love men in general? How is it that you can hate the gods and love God? Does not the general include the particular?" "Be so reverend, sir," answered the novice, who began to chafe under the attacks of the brisk monk. "To understand what I mean, the world in which we live is a world of order, and we know that there are laws in which we must submit. When I speak of God, I speak Him who made us, the omnipotent creator of the universe, the Father of all beings, the standard of our protection, the eternal law of life." Well, replied Kadava, who thought boisterous was the bottom of his heart and good nature. "I do not mean to offend. I try to drive home to you in the guise of fun. The truth is serious, though my mode of expression may be humorous. I understand now that you are devoted to the all-great Brahma, as the Brahmins call him, the Lord, Creator, and Ruler of the universe. But do you not consider two things: first, as such in all God conceived, as a being that has a name and form, is the product of our own imagination as much as all other deities of the people, and secondly, if Brahma was as real as you are, and I am, would he be of no avail? Everyone must find the path of salvation himself, and Brahma's wisdom is not your wisdom, nor can Brahma, who resides in the Brahmin heaven, teach you anything." Sharaka did not conceal his dissatisfaction with Kadava's notion of God and said, The mere idea that there is a God that gives me strength. He may be directly unapproachable, or may surround us as the air or as the ether which penetrates our bodies. He may be different from what we surmise him to be, but he must exist as a cause of all that is good and wise and true and beautiful. How should I, in my endeavors to seek the truth, succeed if there be no eternal standard of truth? "Yes, I know," replied Kadava with undisguised condescension. "It would help a youth who pursues an idea to think of it as a being, as a God, as the great God, as the greatest God of all. Children need toys and the immature need gods. Your case reminds me of a story which was told when I was in my younger years and went out not unlike you in search of truth." "Tell us a story," exclaimed one of the younger brethren, and Kadava said, "If I were sure not to hurt the feelings of our young friend, the novice, I should be glad to tell the story. But seeing that he is a worshiper of Brahman, I better let the matter drop. Sharaka answered, I am not a worshiper of Brahman, unless you understand by Brahman the first cause of all, the ultimate reason of existence, the supreme being, the perceiver of all things, the controller, the Lord, the maker, the fashioner, the chief, the victor, the ruler, the father of all beings who have ever been and are to be. If your story be instructive, I am anxious to hear it myself, even though it should criticize my belief. So that's the end of that chapter, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to make this to hear your guys' thoughts on the concept. On the concept of God with a capital G, and how it is particularly viewed in the world of Buddhism, or in Buddhist theology. So I want to hear what you guys had to think. The next chapter is actually Kedava's story, but so I'm going out of order, but I'm going to go over this entire book also. So I want to know what you guys think. This is Articles of Reality. Peace and love.